Macau is a very interesting place. It's arguably the gambling capital of the world, with casino profits 3 times the size of Las Vegas. It's considered to be the most densely populated region in the world, and the government makes so much money that it actually pays its citizens the equivalent of $670 every year. In addition to that, Macau is full of European cultural influences, which can be seen in the architecture and even the language. But how did this all come to happen? Well, that's what you will learn in today's video on Macau Exists. If I were to drop you into Macau right now, and I didn't tell you where you were, you would be very confused. You would see Mandarin on signs, but you would hear Portuguese and Cantonese being spoken. You would see a mixture of futuristic skyscrapers and old cathedrals, and you would see people from all over the world living and working in Macau. If you're wondering how this came to be, the short answer is colonization, but it's a bit more complicated than that. Let's go back in time to the year 1510. At this time, Europe's influence around the world was just beginning. Portugal had just colonized Brazil a few years earlier, and they wanted to find ways to spread their trade routes to make that sweet money. So where did they decide to go? Asia. This was an interesting choice, as there were already very advanced civilizations there, which would be difficult to conquer, but again, money makes the world go round. The Portuguese set up a colony on the Indian state of Goa in 1510, and in 1511, they conquered the state of Malacca, which is in Malaysia, and drove the Sultan to the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula. But those colonies weren't enough for Portugal. They wanted more. In 1513, Jose Alvarez landed in China, on a place that was called Tamao, which is modern-day Macau. Later that year, however, they decided that Tamao wasn't good enough for them, and decided to go look for other places to colonize. Some Portuguese soldiers and merchants still remained in Tamao and set up trading ports. But the Chinese government didn't like these ports, and the Portuguese traders were forced to leave Tamao in 1521. And then after that, the Ming Dynasty banned all trade with Portugal. But the Portuguese ignored this ban, and still tried to obtain the bread by conquering Tamao again. Luckily for them, in 1557, the local Chinese government officially gave the Portuguese control of Tamao in exchange for a rent and on the terms that the Portuguese would have to stop all piracy in the area. After the Portuguese officially owned Macau, thousands of people migrated there to trade, and the colony became very rich. It acted as a trading port between China and Japan, and especially between Europe and Asia. In addition to that, during this time the Catholic Church was introduced to Macau. The Jesuits and Dominican order came to Macau and built religious buildings like churches and schools. They also built the Cathedral of St. Paul and St. Dominic's Church, which are known worldwide. This time was known as the Golden Age of Macau, but sadly, all good things have to end. And for Macau, they did. The Japanese government started getting suspicious of all the Catholic missionaries coming to Japan, and they decided to isolate themselves from all foreign powers. The only people that they allowed to trade with them were the Dutch. This hurt Macau badly, as they relied on trade between China and Japan as their main source of income. To make matters worse, decades later in 1842, Hong Kong was established by the British. Hong Kong stole a lot of business from Macau, and the Royal Navy even stopped Macau from trading on occasion. In the words of another history YouTuber, more economic downturn. But we can't end this video on a sad note. In 1999, the world decided that it was time for Macau and Hong Kong to leave Portugal and Britain and join China. While this was happening, China promised that they would pretty much give Macau and Hong Kong autonomy until 2049. Macau decided that this was the time to prove themselves to the world. How would they do this? Gambling. In 2002, Macau ended government control of all the Macanese casinos and began construction on new casinos that today would attract millions of people to Macau every year. Much like Monaco, Macau used gambling to go from a very poor to a very rich nation very quickly. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Comment below what topics you want me to cover next. Please subscribe, and have a great day.